Welcome to Fantastic Vision. Please subscribe us before you watch today's video. If you always watch our channel, you may know that the news of the US ban on Chinese semiconductor. In recent years, what the United States likes to do most is to make a restricted list. In February this year, Biden included hundreds of Chinese companies in the list of export restrictions. So this year, China has also made reciprocal countermeasures, including rare earths, photovoltaic silicon wafers, LiDAR and other technologies on the export prohibition list. In addition to the pain point that this rare earth refining technology hits the United States, China has another world-leading technology in recent years, which is the production of super steel. China's steel output has ranked first in the world for several years in a row, but the competition in the modern steel industry has shifted from output to quality, and in this regard, China still has shortcomings. Many special steel products, such as high-strength steel for making bearings, radiation-resistant steel for building nuclear power plants, and small steel for making ballpoint pen balls, have relied on imports for a long time. In fact, the total amount of steel used to make the nib is very small, and the cost of developing it is much higher than buying it directly. But whether it can be built is one thing, and whether it can be built is another matter. It involves related cutting-edge technologies, so we have to make breakthroughs by ourselves instead of looking at others. Therefore, in recent years, China has been making great efforts to develop its own special steel products, and super steel is one of the gratifying breakthroughs. The United States began to develop super steel more than 60 years ago. The standard at that time was that the yield strength exceeded 1500 MPa, and it was called super steel. When testing the tensile strength of steel, if the sample deforms, it is called yield, and the force on the material at this time is called yield strength. In popular understanding, the larger this value is, the more powerful the steel will be. At present, China has been able to mass-produce super steel with a yield strength exceeding 2200 MPa, and it is also the only country that can achieve mass production of super steel of this level. After the publication of this achievement, it was published in the top journal Science. The strength of China's newly developed super steel has exceeded 3200 MPa. Compared with super steel, the yield strength of ordinary steel is only a few hundred MPa, and the strength can be said to be very different. China saw the great potential value of super steel more than 2 decades ago. After 2002, China began mass production of super steel, and continued to promote its research and development. Now not only Bao Steel, Wuhan Iron and Steel, and Shougang, but also many small iron and steel enterprises can produce 2200 MPa super steel. The super steel in many countries only exists in the laboratory, but the annual output of super steel in China has exceeded 1000 MPa. Tons. The secret of super steel is to mix other metals in steel in a certain proportion. Many countries have mixed metals such as titanium and cobalt during experiments, and the cost is high. However, China's super steel is mixed with aluminum elements, which not only has high strength, but also has certain plasticity and low cost. Foreign scientists probably did not expect that adding soft aluminum elements to steel can actually increase the strength of the material. What are the applications of super steel? Super steel is currently mainly used in the military industry, such as submarine shells that require high steel strength. The most advanced submarine in the United States is called the Seawolf class, and the steel used is 820 MPa. According to the standard, it has not yet met the requirements of super steel, but it is much higher than ordinary steel. Coupled with the nuclear submarine material fraud scandal that broke out in the United States in the past 2 years, whether the steel used in the Seawolf class can really reach 820 MPa is still a question mark, but the steel strength of Japan's Sarayu class submarine exceeds 1000 MPa. At present, there is still a certain gap between the steel strength and dive depth of China's active submarines compared with those of the United States and Japan. If the steel can be supplemented, then Chinese submarines can come from behind and not be afraid of the threat of any other country's submarines. Theoretically speaking, a submarine made of 2,200 MPa grade steel can withstand a high pressure of 2,000 meters underwater, while the current limit of the submarine's diving depth is 1,000 meters. If China's submarines really use their own super steel, they will be able to surpass the level of the United States and Japan. In addition to submarines, aircraft carriers, tanks, and fighter jets can all use super steel to improve performance, and the use of domestic steel can save a lot of cost. When Biden heard such news, he was afraid that he would get up overnight to make a list of restrictions. I thought that China only has the rare earth card to play, but every time the United States does something, China can always take countermeasures. Foreign media also said that even if it hides so deeply, how much advanced technology does China hide? The use of super steel is not limited to the military. Imagine that high-rise buildings use super steel instead of ordinary steel bars, which will greatly increase the earthquake resistance. Cars using super steel will reduce deformation in the event of a collision, thereby improving safety. The promotion of super steel can bring revolutionary changes to the material industry and manufacturing industry, and the prospect is very broad. In the past few years, the United States has imposed round after round of restrictions on China. Not only did it fail to turn China back to the Stone Age, as they imagined, but it made China more determined to carry out independent research and development in semiconductors. Steel, a breakthrough has been made in fields such as automobiles. In the game of great powers, hard power is what is at stake in the end. The United States often lists restrictions angrily, exposing their intention to contain China's development in an all-round way. Now they are not even willing to take advantage of it by chance, but directly plunder it. China will take countermeasures when it should. In addition to prohibiting the export of key technologies, we have also included certain foreign companies that violate Chinese regulations on the blacklist. Although the United States is indeed powerful, it cannot do whatever it wants.